Thank you both for joining us. Take a look at this. This is an interesting international fight. I think the world's going to be watching this. Sarah Palin, the possible next Republican candidate for president, has an opinion piece in today's Washington Post. She writes, quote, "The agenda-driven policies being pushed in Copenhagen won't change the weather, but they would change our economy for the worse." Interesting language there. Let's look at Al Gore here, too. Here he is with Andrea Mitchell on NBC. Let's listen.
Global warming deniers persist in this air of unreality. After all, the entire North Polar ice cap, which has been there for most of the last 3 million years, is disappearing before our eyes. 40% is already gone. The rest is expected to go completely within the next decade. What do they think is causing this?
Well, that's a great... Chris, I want to go with you. You're right for the Financial Times. And I just wonder, I think the world laughs at the United States sometimes when we come out as a bit troglodyte about these issues. The world knows there's climate change. Everybody knows, except maybe the Wall Street Journal, that there's climate change on their opinion pages. The smart people who write the news columns know what's going on. What is going on here? Is Sarah Palin really challenging? People know that she knows there's climate change. Damn it, she lives in Alaska. She knows what's going on up there. What is going on here with her lingo?
Well, I was really surprised by one thing in her op-ed, which was that she actually said that she isn't sure that climate change is caused by human actions. So that to me was really, really interesting and quite a radical position for her to take. I think a pretty dangerous one, because
who's writing this stuff for her? Randy Schuneman or somebody? Is this some incredible ideologue that's giving? She's got to be smarter than this. I mean, I don't care what you think of her politics. Doesn't she know the reality of what's happening on the ice cap? Doesn't she see?
Well, what she says, Chris, as of course you know, is she says, you know, she doesn't deny that the climate is changing, but the explanation to which she alluded in her op-ed was that maybe this was just cyclical and natural and the sort of thing that has happened in the past. And it is true that the climate has changed a lot in the past. I think it's also true that the weight of scientific evidence, even if you set aside the East Anglia storm in a teacup, tempest in a teacup, is that human action is affecting the climate.
I think the industrial age we live in the last 100 years has had an effect. I mean,
the Palin piece, frankly, is a mess, because she trumpets the fact that she set up a special panel when she was governor of Alaska to try to understand and deal with things like the thawing of the permafrost. You know, her whole state was thawing, and then she says, but you know, these are just natural and cyclical changes, with no evidence to back that up, with no acknowledgement that the weight of scientific evidence is against that hypothesis.
Krista, another point, internationally, is there a world laughing at us for being still back in the Scopes trial, the monkey trial, back in Tennessee in the 1920s? Are we still back, perceived in the world to be back there, not believing in any kind of Darwinism, any kind of science, anything, Keynesian economics? Are we just being laughed at as opposed as people who just don't learn or who hate knowledge? What is it? What's our perception?
Well, actually, I think the world has an incredibly high respect for America, and I think America is not just creationism to people outside the United States, it's also Google, right? America is still the land of invention and opportunity. What I do think that the smart political point that Sarah Palin did make in that op-ed, and I think Jean has written a column about this as well, is we are starting to get to the point where the discussion about the environment is going to be about real economic costs and real winners and losers. And that's where I think maybe she thinks she can score some political points by reminding some people it's going to cost a lot of money, and the impacts will be differential.
Everybody knows that. That's so obvious that she's playing to the crowd. Obviously, it's not going to be pleasant. Why would we be talking about doing it?
Well,
it's obvious what she's doing.
Yeah, it is obvious what she's doing, and she's setting herself up to be able to say he wants to raise, you know, the price of gasoline for your car.
Because he wants to do it, not because there's a challenge.
Exactly, not because there's any reason for it.
By the way, I love these signatures she does. She doesn't write the book, and then she scribbles some indecipherable sign on the book as a signature.